Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. So I'm usually a pretty easygoing guy, but one thing that gets on my nerves is having to wait in queues. I'm naturally a fairly impatient kind of guy, and I just hate to waste time or have others waste my time. So spending hours just standing in a line, it really messes with my mood. And I get this is totally a first world problem and I shouldn't be complaining about it, but just hear me out. I spent more than half my day recently just queuing up and running errands in town. I was queuing at the grocery store for 20 minutes. I was queuing at the bank to get one document for 40 minutes. I was queuing at an attorney's office for 20 minutes, and then queuing at the water company to pay a water bill for 30 minutes, and then queuing at a hardware store for 45 minutes. And then I had to go back to the bank to pay the water bill because, long story, but I was there for another hour. So all up, it was about 6 prime hours of my day gone. And the biggest frustration I have with it is I'm always thinking in terms of opportunity cost. Now, opportunity cost is the highest value alternative thing that you could be doing instead of the present activity. So let's say you go to your doctor's office for your 3 p.m. appointment. They confirm to you that it was 3 p.m. Yet at 3:45 p.m. they still haven't called your name and there's someone else in front of you. So to pass time, you might be browsing through different magazines, and the opportunity cost of your time is those 45 minutes which you could have spent doing something else but your highest value alternative activity. Now, I don't know what your time is worth. You'll definitely have a much better idea. But reading that magazine, that's definitely not it. That is not your highest value activity. You could have used that time to create something of value if your doctor had been on time. So anyway, while I'm wasting all this time sitting around, I'm thinking to myself, I could be using this time to grow Strive. I could be getting things done. I could be making calls. I could be making progress. And this sense of frustration, this is the entire reason why business class and VIP memberships and things like that, where people get to skip the queue, that's why they exist. Part of it, yes, is about the prestige value, but mostly it is about saving time. Most people paying that extra money, they're doing so because they put a much higher premium on their time than the average person does. So let's talk about this for a minute. You need to start valuing your time more in line with where you want it to be. What's your desired hourly rate that you'd like to be able to make in your career? So for example, let's say you're applying for jobs. It's always a good idea to apply for jobs that you feel are outside of your pay range. Even if it doesn't feel like you're going to get it, or it feels a little bit too far out of your league, go for it, still apply for it. The reason why is because you might surprise yourself. You might get that job. And if you get it, you'll soon become accustomed to making more per hour than you previously were valuing your time at. You'll have a new lower threshold on your acceptable minimum hourly rate, which means that you now start to say no to opportunities which previously you would have said yes to. Your value of time lens through which you view your entire world, it's now changed. As a 19-year-old, my value of time lens was around $15 Australian per hour. And back then I used to be mowing lawns, and that's what I thought I was worth. I thought my time is worth 15 bucks an hour. And if I saw other part-time jobs advertised, I would only look at those which were at that kind of rate because I felt they were within my reach. I wouldn't even bother applying for something offering, say, a 6-figure annual salary because in my mind, it just wasn't realistic. Now, in the back of my mind, I still had these enormous ambitions of, making good money one day. But at that present time, the value that I placed on myself and my own time, it was really quite low. So let's take this even further. On the really lower extreme of the value of time continuum, you might have a homeless person, right? And they're living on a street corner and they've been living on the street for years and they just survived through donations and other people's pity and generosity. After enough years of this, many of them, they're going to start to value their own time as being worthless. After all, their opportunity cost is extremely low. What else are they going to do? They come to believe and accept that they are completely unemployable, and they don't even try and find work at a certain point. Now, I know that each case of homelessness is a lot more complicated than this, but my point is a big part of how valuable our work time ends up being has a lot to do with how we internally value our own time and what available uses of our time we say no to. So I need to say no to running petty errands like I did the other day, going to town and standing in line for hours. I need to say no to that. I need to hire someone else with transport who can go into town on my behalf, stock up on supplies, go and pay different bills, because my opportunity cost, I know it's much higher. So I need to get out of that and practice what I preach. The question I have for you is, do you think about your opportunity cost when you're doing something? Do you think in the back of your mind, you know what, perhaps I could be spending my time doing something different which has much higher value? Because if you're not currently thinking like that, you need to start thinking like that. But I hope you got some value out of this. If you like this kind of content, do me a favor, please subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.